Welcome to this channel. Today's lecture is on R.K. Merton. Robert King Merton occupies a central position in 20th century sociology. He is widely regarded as the scholar who saved functionalism from collapse by reformulating it in a more scientific, empirical, and critical direction. While Merton worked within the functionalist tradition, he never accepted its assumptions unquestioningly. Instead, he subjected functionalism itself to sociological analysis. Merton's sociology is marked by intellectual balance. He opposed excessively abstract theorizing that had little connection with social reality, and at the same time he rejected raw empiricism that collected data without theoretical guidance. His work represents a synthesis of theory and research, making sociology both explanatory and testable. Intellectual context and orientation. Robert K. Merton was trained in the American sociological tradition, where empirical research and methodological rigor were highly valued. He was influenced by Talcott Parsons' structural functionalism, but he felt that Parsons' system was too abstract, too all-embracing, and too distant from empirical verification. Merton argued that sociology should not attempt to construct a single theory explaining the entire social universe. Instead, it should develop limited theories that explain particular social processes. His intellectual project was therefore a corrective one. He sought to refine functionalism rather than abandon it. Rejection of grand theory and raw empiricism. Merton criticized two extreme tendencies in sociology. On one side was grand theory, which attempted to explain all of society using highly abstract concepts. Such theories, according to Merton, were elegant but difficult to test and often disconnected from observable social life. On the other side was abstracted empiricism, where sociologists collected massive amounts of data without clear theoretical purpose. Merton argued that data without theory is blind, and theory without data is empty. To overcome this dual problem, he proposed an intermediate solution. Theories of the middle range. Merton's concept of middle-range theories is one of his most enduring contributions. Middle-range theories are not concerned with the total social system. Instead, they focus on specific social phenomena such as deviant behavior, social mobility, bureaucracy, reference groups, or role conflict. These theories are abstract enough to generate general explanations but concrete enough to be tested using empirical data. For example, Merton's strain theory explains deviance by linking cultural goals and institutional means. It does not attempt to explain all social behavior, yet it provides a powerful framework that can be empirically examined. Merton believed that sociology advances cumulatively through the development and refinement of such middle-range theories. Reformulation of functional analysis. Classical functionalism often assumed that all parts of society are beneficial and necessary. Merton rejected this optimistic assumption and argued that functional analysis must be grounded in observation rather than belief. He emphasized that social structures should be studied in terms of their actual consequences, not their intended purposes. Institutions may serve society in some ways while harming it in others. This reformulation made functionalism a critical tool rather than a conservative ideology. Manifest and latent functions. Merton introduced the distinction between manifest functions and latent functions, which revolutionized functional analysis. Manifest functions are those consequences of social actions that are intended and recognized by participants. For instance, the manifest function of formal education is to transmit knowledge and skills. Latent functions are unintended and often unrecognized consequences. Education also creates peer networks, delays entry into the labor market, and sometimes reproduces class inequality. These outcomes are latent functions. This distinction helped sociologists uncover hidden social processes and move beyond surface explanations. Dysfunctions and social strain. Merton argued that not all consequences of social structures are positive. Some consequences are harmful and destabilizing. He called these dysfunctions. A social institution may contribute to social order while simultaneously creating tension or inequality. For example, mass media may inform citizens, but it can also spread misinformation or reinforce stereotypes. By introducing dysfunctions, Merton dismantled the idea that society naturally tends toward harmony. Functional alternatives and functional equivalents. Another major contribution of Merton is the concept of functional alternatives. Traditional functionalists believed that existing institutions were indispensable. Merton rejected this view and argued that the same social function can be fulfilled by different institutions in different societies or historical contexts. For example, social control can be maintained through law, religion, custom, or informal community pressure. No single institution is universally necessary. This idea allowed sociologists to compare societies without assuming the superiority of any particular institutional arrangement. Critique of functional postulates. Merton systematically criticized three core assumptions of classical functionalism. First, the assumption of functional unity, which claims that all parts of society work together harmoniously. Merton argued that modern societies are internally diverse and conflict-ridden. Second, the assumption of universal functionalism, which suggests that every social pattern is beneficial. Merton demonstrated that many practices benefit some groups while harming others. Third, the assumption of indispensability, which assumes that existing institutions are necessary. Merton replaced this with the idea of functional alternatives. Anomie and strain theory. Merton extended Durkheim's concept of anomie by linking it to social structure. According to Merton, every society defines culturally approved goals, such as economic success, and prescribes legitimate means to achieve them, such as education and employment. When access to legitimate means is unequally distributed, individuals experience strain. Merton identified 5 modes of adaptation to this strain: conformity, innovation, ritualism, retreatism, and rebellion. These adaptations explain different forms of deviant behavior. Strain theory became one of the most influential sociological explanations of crime and deviance. Reference group theory. Merton also contributed to reference group theory, which explains how individuals evaluate themselves not only in relation to their own group but also in relation to groups they aspire to join. This theory explains feelings of relative deprivation, ambition, and dissatisfaction, even among materially comfortable individuals. Contribution to sociology. Robert K. Merton transformed functionalism into a flexible, empirical, and self-critical approach. He emphasized conceptual clarity, theoretical modesty, and methodological rigor. His ideas continue to influence sociology, criminology, organizational studies, and social policy. Conclusion. Robert K. Merton demonstrated that sociology must remain critical of its own assumptions. By reformulating functionalism, he ensured its survival in a changing intellectual landscape. His work shows that society is neither perfectly integrated nor completely chaotic. It is a complex system of structures producing both order and conflict, stability and change. If you found this lecture helpful, do like, subscribe and share this video. Thank you.